right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Two Tutors Talking. I am your lovely host, Audrey Codner from ACG Math Tutoring. And the reason why we do Two Tutors Talking is to help parents to connect with tutors from around the world that will be best for their child. So I know I say this every time. I have an amazing tutor for you because I only associate with amazing people. What? I have an amazing tutor for you, and especially if in the special ed realm. And I want to introduce you guys to Miss Darci Ziegler. Darci, hello from Defeating Dyslexia with Darci. Welcome to Two Tutors Talking.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Oh, not a problem. Because I've been seeing a lot of your videos and there's just been like a lot of great stuff that you're putting out there.
Okay, thank
you. I just really want you to share yourself with the rest of the world. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, okay. So years ago, I used to teach kindergarten and I quit when my own kids were born. And so I was a stay-at-home mom. And, when I taught kindergarten, I enjoyed teaching reading. That was like my favorite part. And I thought, I want to teach my own kids to read. So that's what I wanted to do. And I could not believe how hard it was to teach my daughter to read. And I thought something's the matter here. I just had a really difficult time. And it wasn't until she was, I think, 9 that I finally got her diagnosed with dyslexia and started learning about dyslexia. And so that's how I got started with learning how to teach kids that have dyslexia to read.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, not awesome that discovery, but the fact that you wanted to teach yourself because you really wanted your child to learn to read instead of just like, okay, let me just chuck her to the wolves. Like, yeah, I still want my child to read. And you had to do a lot of work in order to do that. Like, what were some of the things that was entailed when you were going through that journey?
So let me tell you some of the things that, when she was young, I would have known, now that I know all the stuff that I know now, I would have known that she was dyslexic by the time she was 3 or 4 years old. And here's why. Number one, there was a history of reading problems in the family. And I knew that. I knew that, that there had been people in the family, and it's hereditary. Then also she had speech problems when she was about 2, I couldn't understand anything she said. So I sent her, she ended up being in speech therapy, and I went to all the speech therapy with her, and I did whatever the speech therapist was doing. I did that all week long, So by the time she was 5, she tested out of speech therapy. They said she is at or above normal in every area of speech for her age. And I can understand everything she said. So I thought, everything is good. And I thought we had fixed that. And I didn't realize that that's very related to dyslexia, having speech issues. And not only that mispronouncing words, but also she would do things like, she couldn't remember if she wanted a marshmallow or a mushroom in her hot chocolate. So I just thought that was funny, that she would ask for a mushroom in her hot chocolate. I just thought that was funny. And I didn't realize that's classic dyslexia. When people mix up 2 words that are similar and they can't remember which one is which. And so I didn't know that she wasn't hearing the different sounds in the words. She didn't do well with rhyming and all kinds of classic things that now I realize, oh, that's the way it is when people have dyslexia. Those are the warning signs. But at the time, she couldn't remember names of things. She didn't even remember the name of her favorite dolly. So of course she didn't remember the names of the letters. The letters and numbers, she did not remember them. And I thought, how can this be so hard? She does not remember her alphabet. And we worked so hard on that,
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for people that, they send their kid to school and the teacher will think that the parent isn't working with their kid because their kid still doesn't know the alphabet. Well,
Right.
those parents are probably working with their kids harder than any other parents, but
Right.
they still aren't learning their alphabet. So yeah, that's
Right.
another classic sign that they're
And it
dyslexic.
just seems like a lot of parents will actually go through that same exact process
Yeah,
because you're like, why are you asking for this? Or how come you're not doing that? Oh, I loved how you put it. I thought we fixed this.
yeah,
So, and once you hear, like, all right, we went through the channels, people told us what to do to go, and then all of a sudden, here it's raising its ugly head again.
yeah.
And parents are like, all right, so what did I do wrong? Like, did you feel kind of like that?
Yeah, I did. I was like, well, I couldn't decide if, maybe she's just not ready. Maybe she just needs to be a little more mature or whatever. Or am I doing something wrong? And the older she would get, the more kind of panicky I felt. I thought, oh no, I mean, this is getting worse and worse because we're not progressing and as we should be. And, I was afraid to, I thought, when I was teaching, I was in a small private school, in a Christian school, and I thought, I know they have the same degree that I have, the other teachers there. And if I don't know what to do, then I had no faith that they would know what to do. So I didn't want to put her in that school. I didn't want to put her in public school. I really didn't know if they would know what to do, but I thought, well, they have special ed teachers there. I don't know, but then I was like, oh man, the older she'd get, the more I think, oh man, they're going to be like, what have you been doing? And
Right.
so anyway, I finally did find out, oh, it's dyslexia. And then I started learning what that means and how to help and everything.
Right. Because, I mean, it's great that we do have teachers that have, like, the whole process of getting our degrees. But I know for me personally, we just took one class on special education.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, that's like 7 weeks.
Mhm.
And no one's not going to be an expert. And then plus, there's so many different degrees of, I want to say, different disabilities, learning styles, and all that, that you're not going to be able to learn or really
Yes.
dig in deep with a particular subject. And it seems like there is a growing amount, not only of ADHD, ADHD or ADD, but dyslexia is starting to really pick up speed that a lot of my teacher friends are saying, I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
So when we're relying so much on outside teachers, it's tough to do. But then here you are. How can you help us?
Well, so I started learning about dyslexia back then, and I started going to the Reading in the Rockies, which is the International Dyslexia Association has this big convention every year, but they also have smaller conventions around the country, and Reading in the Rockies is their small convention here in Colorado. So I started going to that, and when I one year when I was there, I mean, this was years ago, like maybe 12 to 15 years ago. I was there just by myself. I was the only person I knew there, and I asked if I could sit at this table with a bunch of girls, and they were telling me this course that they were taking. They were becoming academic language therapists. And I had never heard of such a thing. So I was like, well, what is that? I've never heard of it. And they were telling me about all the training that they were getting to become dyslexia therapists. And I was like, man, that's what I want. I mean, at that time, I was kind of at the stage where I was angry that I didn't already know this. I thought, how could I have a degree in elementary education, a minor in special ed, and not know anything about dyslexia? I thought I was mad. So so anyway, I was wishing that I had already taken that, but I was not super mom. I can't be the mom and take a college, go to college and whatever. So, but I learned about that then. And then, ever since then, I've been like, I sort of want to take that degree. So I went, when my kids were they were finally at the community college, I went back and got a master's degree. And that's the degree that I went for and it's a degree in dyslexia therapy. So, and it's the only school in Colorado that I went to, the only school in Colorado that is endorsed by the International Dyslexia Association. So, I had a friend that was like, why don't you go to the state college? It's a lot cheaper. You could save a lot of money. And I was like, no, I want this degree. I want it. Right. I want the one where I know I'm going to learn about dyslexia. So,
right. And you'll be able to apply what you learn to help more than like tons of families. So then you wouldn't have another family go through exactly the journey that you had to go through as you're doing your self-discovery and try to figure out what to do. So now you're using your gift of learning and your gift of teaching to help other kids from basically around the world that is really struggling with dyslexia, but at the same time still want to grow academically.
Yeah.
So before we get into what you're noticing in your sessions, I just want to kind of put out there for if you're watching it live, go ahead and hit hashtag live. If you're watching this as a replay, hit hashtag replay because it helps with the algorithm. So, and if anything, we want to talk about what are we noticing your sessions, because now you did all your education, you've basically putting yourself out there. Like, what are the type of things that you're noticing with your students during your sessions?
Well, what I love to notice the most is when confidence increases, so because I have some kids, especially if they're older by the time that they come and they can't read, like if you're in 5th grade and you can only read at 2nd grade level or something like that, your confidence is very low and you're like, I don't want to do this. I mean, I've had some kids come, they don't want to come, they don't want to do it. They don't, they don't feel confident. And it's so fun to watch as the months go by, as they, sit up a little taller and, answer a little more confidently. And, they start to take responsibility and start to think, oh, I see how this works. And they start really, being successful. And that's really fun to watch.
Yes, yes. And especially, I understand, especially when we get older. And a lot of times the kids don't want attention. They want attention, but they don't want that type of attention. Right. So they're just like, oh, I'm too cool for this. And you're like, trust me, because once you get past that barrier, your world is going to open up and you're not going to know what to do with yourself. Yeah. And then when you see it and then they see it, it's just such an attention grabber. So to me, that's what keeps me going with tutoring because, I love to see kids going, I was able to do this. And then I was helping out my classmates and you're like, you were helping someone? Like, I was like up in class and then you see the excitement. So if you ever think like, I think my child does need it, but you're a little hesitant, don't be. Because have someone like Darci to open that world up for your child. And now when they're going to be independent learners, they don't have that barrier anymore. And that's almost like someone said to me once, it's like the gift of education. It's like the biggest gift that anyone can give. So definitely. And we already know how we're going to make you unique. For you, it's like you're basically giving someone a gift of learning. So like that's how I see you.
I agree because if you know how to read, if you can read well, you can learn whatever you want to learn.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So
Exactly.
that's why I think it's the most important thing to learn. Of course, and I think math, like you do, is right up there too. I think if you just learn reading and math, those are the two things that if you are good at that, then you can go ahead and learn whatever you want to learn in life
Yep.
for the rest of your life.
Yep, I agree. Especially now they're doing expansions of math. So because they're putting more word problems in.
Oh,
So
oh yeah,
they, we have to understand what are they talking about and what are
yes,
the bits of information that we need to pull. So it always comes back to reading. It always
yeah.
comes back to reading.
You're right. You
Yep.
can't do math very good if you can't read. Yeah.
I'm like, it's hand to hand now. So, if anything, you've already told us like what are some things like based on your journey, like what are some things to look for if you're noticing your kid is below, reading levels. If you're noticing your kid is making very interesting requests instead of marshmallows, they want mushrooms, which is
Yeah.
very funny. Um,
I always thought
but
it was funny.
right? You're like, what? I was like, are you okay? And just little things for them to kind of see if maybe your child needs to be tested. But there may be some upcoming attractions. What are some upcoming attractions that you have in your business? Like, do you have any openings or is there anything else?
Well, yeah. Well, I just thought I'd mention that this isn't. I don't know. I'm taking the test next week. A week from today, I'm going to be going and taking the test for the CALT. It's for the Certified Academic Language Therapist. So I
Nice.
finally finished all the requirements, 700 hours of practicum that is required. So I finished all those requirements and now I'm ready to take the test. So I wasn't sure if I should say that because what if I don't pass it?
You're going to pass it because I've seen your stuff. You're going to pass it.
Well, anyway, so I have been studying for that, like just a little bit every day for a couple weeks now. And so that's what I've been focused on right now is finishing those requirements and then passing that test. So I'm excited about that. And other than that, I just have one-on-one tutoring sessions is all I'm really offering. I do have a thing that where you can get that tells like I call it milestones on the path to becoming a good reader. So it has a like what you should be looking for at each age from preschool to like fifth grade or something, and what are the red flags if these things aren't happening that you should be aware of. So that is
Oh,
something that I
awesome.
have. And then I have just one-on-one tutoring going on.
Oh, that would be perfect. But here's the best thing. This is why I love doing this whole two tutors talking is the fact that even though we're adults and we're tutors and we're former teachers and
Yeah.
educators, we're still learning.
Yeah.
Like we're still learning in our process. We're still growing
Mhm.
within our spell. So when you hear that Darci's going to go take a test, you're like, well, is she certified? Like, can't you stop? We're constantly learning.
Yeah.
Like we're always learning something. We're always wanting to progress. So, I mean, if you love the
Yes.
fact that you can get someone to help your child basically learn to break through a barrier and to grow. And then at the same time, she understands what that growth process is. You guys need to reach out to Miss Darci here. So we have a couple ways that you can reach out to her. You can reach out to her either through her website, which is right below. Didn't want to get into that. So defending dyslexia, or sorry, defending. We don't want to defend it. Defeating dyslexia with Darci.com. And then we also have her email address. So teacher Darci's at gmail.com.
Yes.
Stuck on the social media, not a problem. I got you. So we have her Facebook, which is right
Yes.
underneath. I know. I feel like I'm stalking the woman, but that's what we do. Um, Definitely have their Facebook, the whole defeating dyslexia with Darci, as well as Instagram, which is just going to be teacher Darci.
Mm.
So Darci, thank you so much for coming in for Two Tutors Talking and like sharing your journey. And I know there's a lot of parents that are probably like, my child is going through the same thing, and hopefully you open their eyes so they can come and reach out to you so we can figure out, let's see that this child can go. Because how is your daughter now?
25. And
Oh,
she's a really good reader, by the way. She reads a lot.
so thank you, Darci, so much for all the information that you've given us. I mean, I know there's a lot of parents out there that's probably saying, this is exactly what I needed. I definitely am going to reach out to you. But I definitely wanted to say thank you so much for being here. And hopefully you had fun too.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed that. And hopefully I answered the right questions and everything.
Oh, you did. Oh, you did. Well, thanks again, guys, for coming out for another episode of Two Tutors Talking. I am your host, Audrey Codner, and for us to get ready for next week, I know it's Thanksgiving for us in the U.S., but to get ready for next week, we have Elaine Lingard, she is from Ireland. Love her. The Emerald Education. She's going to share with us a lot of the things that she's doing, and also her books and everything. And just stay tuned for that. So once again, have an amazing day and be awesome.